All right, so hello everyone, and
Hello.
welcome back to The Vine. We're in season 4, episode 2. Who'd have thought we'd be able to get this far, right?
Yeah, because actually you don't see it, but there's a lot of work behind the camera, so we're all excited to make this episode.
Yeah, I mean, even from the start, The Vine came back from the dead. The first time that I was here, I was kind of talking about it, how like there was a whole year with not a single episode that was released. And we almost lost that, because before there was a podcast, there used to be a radio, right? We'll talk about it in a later episode. But but honestly, like, it was something that always was present in the Dawson community, and it was almost about to disappear because there was no podcast. And I mean, of course we had the newspaper, but there was kind of like that audio part that was missing, you know?
Yeah, because we all like to hear people talking. You know, when you're on the metro, it's like you need something to fill your ears with. So it's like, okay, let's just do that.
But yeah, no, so I think also a big part was kind of the fact that people get to voice their opinions. Obviously, like, through words and like through paper, it's obviously very important. You get to like give a lot of reflection and thought and research. But I think people need the emotion to like podcasting, and like radios and all of that kind of verbal stuff.
Yeah, and also if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see our faces, cute faces.
Exactly, of course. We got that duality here. That was a little thing thanks to Antoine, our producer, making all the camera work in the backgrounds. But no, for sure. I think it's just important for students to get to voice what they have to say.
Yeah.
Like, so much gets done through the student movement. Like, I mean, I think you and I would know. We've been trying to work on projects and everything.
How about we introduce ourselves? Because I feel we're talking a lot, but you may not know about us. So,
What do you mean? You're literally on the Vine, Giselle. Go for it.
well, I'm the secretary, okay? So I'm not used to be like in front of the camera, but yeah. So my name is Giselle. I guess that's the time to say it. My name is Giselle. I'm the secretary of the Vine, and yes, I'm really happy to be here. I
And
don't
you
think
should-
there's more to say.
And you should know about talking, right? Your program is literally languages.
Yes, I know how to talk in many languages, and now it's your turn to tell me if I talk well in one. But I
Drop us
guess.
something. Drop us something.
I can say in Chinese, 你好，我是好学生. I'm sorry, if you're Chinese, don't judge my accent, please. I'm beginner, but yes.
Yeah.
So, who are you?
I mean, you've seen me before if you're recurring on
If you're
the
not, there's a
podcast.
problem.
Oh. But I'm the VP of Operations and Services. One of the services is the Vine, so I'm always glad to kind of like come in and make a little appearance. And I think your description is not long enough, Giselle, because not only are you a student, not only are you a secretary for the Vine, you're also, well, my main volunteer,
Yes.
but also you have a role in the plant, right?
Yes.
Do you wanna
About the
talk about that?
plant. Yeah. Well, I feel like I know a bit about it because like I'm actually in the plant also, and well, we wanted to talk about it today, and also we have plants. I'm just I'm just
These
saying.
are vines, though.
Yeah, but it's like plants at the same time, so it works. But yeah, so I'm in the plant. The plant is a student-run newspaper. Maybe you've seen us like tabling next to the stairs. Sometimes we make 4 issues a semester, and can you keep going?
Yes, I can. Actually,
the
I would
best I
love
can
to
do.
talk about the plant. I used to be in the plant. I was a reporter. It's been a year now. But, every once in a while, going back to even this winter break, I love to go through the archives. It's one of the most beautiful things. I think it's so interesting to look at what people have valued over the years and the things that they want to write about. Obviously, like, I like to mix my little interests and go directly to the sections Eyes on the DSU, because there used to be a section every newspaper issue where
DSU
they
fan.
would publish like Eyes on the DSU and like what's going on with the DSU. And a lot of the times there was a lot of drama. Like one year there were like, I think it was like 7 executives that
7.
that resigned before the end of before the start of the winter semester.
Wow, I'm surprised the DSU did not die then.
Honestly, it's been through so many highs and lows We keep going every time, and I think that's something that's really good. But anyways, yeah, I just love going through the old issues, and like some of them are really fragile. There's some that go back from the 70s. It's in the locked cabinet. You can ask Jackie or Manola, the editor in chief,
But why is it locked?
because it's really fragile.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's really really fragile. Like once you manipulate them, like you have to be really careful. And actually, if you know that
Wow.
back in 1969, which was the start of the newspaper, it used to be called The Planet,
That's really interesting.
right?
See, I feel like this is like my class session to learn about the plant. I'm in the plant, but I don't know much about it. So yeah. So we used to be called the planet.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
I don't know. I think I know that there were different names because there were different campuses. So there used to be different newspapers per campus, but it was all kind of tied back to the plant. If I'm not wrong,
yeah.
from all of my research, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much what I found. But yeah, no. Anyways, I think it's something that's really interesting to look at. You know, like for example, I covered a section in the Roots, which was the old issues that were like transcribed and put in the website, and it was actually about the South African apartheid. And I think that's something that's so important, you know, activism in students and like using your fingers technically to type up something that means something for others, right?
Yeah, and honestly, like, I'm really glad that I'm in the plant because I get to like witness all of the work that's done, well, behind the paper, if we can say. And yeah, I know they're working really hard, and the product is always so perfect. Like, we could almost wonder if they're professionals, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like only students. It's impressive, I have to say.
But yeah, no, I'm also glad that like the main kind of sources of information are also separate, because I don't know if you know, but I might have told you about this. I tell you about a lot of things that's happened in the
Yeah.
DSU and in the plant, but last year there was a whole referendum to separate the plant from the DSU.
Yeah, I know that the plant is independent, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What
yeah.
exactly do you know about it? I'm curious because this was last year, so.
Well, I know that like it works differently, that they have like their own internal rules, bylaws and everything. And we have to read all of them. And I know to some extent like they're still affiliated with the DSU because you know it's not like they're ignoring the DSU executives. Like, you know, you have friends at the plant, you know, people, which is like
one or two.
one or two, yeah. So but yeah, I just know it works. It's a separate entity.
Yeah, so basically both of them are filed as non-profit corporations separately, and what the DSU does is that there's a fee levy that is transferred to the plant, so that way they get to have their money. You know what a fee levy is?
Oh, it's like when you pay your student fees, it's like the percentage that goes
Yeah,
to...
exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of how we operate, but now it's totally independent, and so that makes it so the DSU can't go like, oh, you better give me, like, you better write well about me or else I'm not funding you any money, which is
well,
something that they
makes
never
sense.
did. But actually a few years ago, kind of gossip,
Oh, I want to know that.
gossip at one point, the DSU was not doing that good, and the plant was writing about it, and they got pushed to like a storage closet for Oliver's in 2C15.
Like as the room for the plant.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like if you get a VPN, you can go on the old plant Instagram and you can see what it looks like in some reels. It's really small. It's cramped. Like they're all cramped up in there. You can look at it there. Like it's really small.
Oh, okay.
But you know, like there's also many different newspapers, you know, in all CJEPs. I think the plant, I saw someone say this and like they were in the plant, so like maybe it was totally biased, but it was kind of as information that it was like the most read CJEP newspaper per like population. So that's pretty good. But there's also like the paper cut at Marinopolis.
Yeah, and also I also know, sorry. I also know there's a VTV in Vanier.
Yeah, that's a podcast. So like us right now.
Okay, so it's...
I'm pretty sure. Is it? Yeah, it is a podcast.
Huh.
And then John Abbott has both. They have Bandersnatch and Sea Sky, something like that. I know Bandersnatch, their student association only allows like for the digital version of the newspaper.
Oh.
So they don't have a printed version as of like a few
That's
years. Like I saw a whole campaign. I think it's really unfortunate because I think it kind of stops people from, you know, getting it. I think they give out like in the hundreds of the copies of the plant, like four times a semester, and then hundreds of copies every single time, like people look at it. So there's definitely value in it. I
Yeah,
think it's
and I feel like, when you have the newspaper in your hand, there's something special about it.
right. Physical media is really important.
I feel like right now it's slowly disappearing, but like when I read books, I prefer having the book in my hand rather than the Kindle or whatever it's called. I don't even know how to call it. See?
Those electronic books.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I'm really sad for that.
No, right? I hope they get to change that, but oh well.
Students, you can put pressure.
Yeah, not our school, not our problems, I guess. It's for them to vouch for.
Yeah.
And then McGill has the Bull and the Bear and many other papers. Because, in universities, they're able to have, like, many different ones. I know, like, in Concordia, there's the Link and the Concordian. Those are, like, the two, like, known ones.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think they also have a radio.
Yeah.
I think so.
What would be the name of it?
What would be CJLO 1690, maybe?
And
did I do my
have
research?
A guest from there today?
Maybe.
You can come on it. Yes.
Yes.
My name is Donald Roberge, and I'm a volunteer radio DJ at CJLO. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. I feel like you speak so well. Like, I'm just starting already. Like, I feel like the tone was very, like, direct and
Oh, just wait, that'll change.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's like the radio tones, like the welcome.
Oh, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you want to talk about maybe, like, your show and what you do in general to, like, our viewership?
Sure, but first I just want to say that I'm an alum of Dawson College, and I was a big reader of the Plant back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I miss that the newspaper feeling of it as well.
Well,
it was crucial.
We
that
have
experience was important.
outside in the hallway.
Yeah.
Well, really, I'll
In
pick
the
one.
hallway, there's a few copies from last semester.
Yeah, I'll pick one up on the way out. I didn't work necessarily directly for the plant, but I did have an affinity for the newspaper, and I appreciated what students did in that newspaper because it was important for them to have a voice, right? And
I
it allowed
totally
them
agree.
to.
Yes.
And we obviously have, like you mentioned, the Concordian and the Link at Concordia, so that students can continue to be able to express themselves or politics, everything that they want. So, but I host a show on CJLO called Eastern Promises. It airs every other Sunday night at 8:00, and it focuses on the music of Atlantic Canada. So the music coming out of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. There's a lot of exciting music coming out from that part of the country, which doesn't necessarily get a platform in our market. So my mission is to be able to spread the word and be able to promote a lot of these wonderful artists coming from out east. So
That's really nice. And what made you focus on that region?
honestly, I love the region. First of all, I am not from the region. I am from Quebec. I have been there. I do have family there. But it was really because I started at CJLO during the pandemic, and I was. What happened was I'm a student. Let me backtrack.
Let's start from the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning. All right. So I am a fine arts student at Concordia part-time. It's a long-term project. I am studying film and moving image studies, working towards a degree. And so I was at a film event at Concordia, and some CJLO volunteers presented themselves saying that they needed people, and it was around the time of the pandemic. We were slowly emerging out of it, but I still felt like it would be good to have an outlet of some kind. I am in fine arts. I felt like it was still in the same wheelhouse, so I was like, well, let me get in touch with them, and I did. And about a week later, I found myself organizing news reports and recording them from home and sending them in. I did that for about 6 months, and then because the station was closed at the time, it was still, again, early out of the pandemic. Eventually it started to slowly open up, and they invited people back, and they offered to train me at the station to work the console at the station. It's a 3-part training, which I did. And
How many hours are the trainings?
It's only about about a session each. So basically, you sit in with a DJ during a particular show. They kind of show you the ropes as they're doing their show. You do that about 3 times, and then they let you do it yourself if you're comfortable doing it yourself. But once that was done, they wanted me to propose a show to them, like, what would you like to do for a show? Which I didn't have on my radar. I wasn't expecting. I just wanted to, play on the console a bit.
Help out.
Yeah, and so I said, oh, well, that's interesting. So I looked around. I noticed that film is my passion. There was already film shows. There were a lot of shows about the Montreal music scene. There are a lot of types of shows. And my thing is that I'm not necessarily a genre person when it comes to music. So I'm not a metal guy. I'm not a hip hop person. So I said, well, why not focus on a geographic area? Yeah, instead, right? And so I said, well, why not? Because I knew that there was exciting things coming from out east that I didn't see any representation of. So I said, well, let's do that and try it. Also, admittedly, to be transparent, CJLO has a lot of theme months and a lot of theme weeks, and it's much easier to adapt your show to these themes when you can just play around with different genres as well. Like, for example, if you have a jazz month or if you have hip hop week or whatever, it's easier to say, you know what, I can grab a bunch of artists from, this province and play them. So there's a bit strategic as well, but this started off that way, but it really became a love affair with being able to connect with the people out east, to be able to promote the music, and it's just been growing and growing and growing ever since. So.
That's really nice. You focus on a certain territorial area. Like, what kind of artists do you have? Do you have like names?
Names of artists. Well, let me think. I just did a show yesterday, actually. There's a new album that came out by an artist named Aquaculture out of Halifax, who's a hip hop and R&B artist, and it's a terrific album. It's a concept album about Black roots. It came out in time for Black History Month, and it delves back into Black history, which is very rich in Nova Scotia, and his family has many generations going back, so it delves in that. So the album, I believe, is called 1738. I think that's what it's called, but it could be, my numbers aren't great. So that's just one example. Played one from a band called Absolute Losers out of Prince Edward Island. Yes, that's the name of the band. But, nominated for Music PEI Awards, nominated for East Coast Music Awards. Montreal regularly. They've been, their profile is slowly rising. They're an alternative punk band. There's all kinds of things that you can, I could go on and on and on about the different types of artists who are just doing really high quality work. And of course, when you think about out east, there's also traditional music, the fiddle music, the Acadian music. There's a lot of Acadian music that I play as well. And there's just a lot of wonderful artists, again, that don't necessarily get the airplay here in Quebec, let alone Western Canada, that I like to be able to promote.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I'm learning all the time. It's when I'm sharing the music with people, like I'm on the ride as well. So it's as much for me as it is for the listener.
Where do you discover all of this music? Like I'm guessing you selected before you put on the show, right?
Yeah.
Where would you advise people to find like this kind of niche music? Because I feel like unless it's like the famous songs that either appear on social media or like that I already know, it's hard to like discover new artists for me.
Listen to CJLO 6090.
Well, to be fair, it is actually a really good resource. Listening to community radio in general, campus and community radio rather, whether it's CJLO, CKUT, CESM, they're all great resources too. But listening, reading alternative weeklies, in other cities, whether Halifax, Charlottetown, that's a good place to start. Of course, there's social media feeds, right, that you can follow that'll help you discover new things as well. Where else do I look? I check all the sites in Montreal for the different music venues to see who's coming, and it's weird because with the experience you get a gist of who's coming from out east, even if you don't necessarily know who they are. You read a name, or you see a concert, or you see a band name, and you're like, they're not from here. And so you do a quick Google search, and you're like, you develop that after a while. So that's another way of doing it. But there's all kind, and of course there's word of mouth as well, and that's been really a wonderful thing too. Is going to shows, promoting bands, interviewing them, talking to them. They say, hey, you should know about these people, those people. It just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. I tend to also follow the different organizations like Music PEI, Music New Brunswick, Music Nova Scotia, and these are all nonprofit groups that are there to promote the music of their provinces, and they have their own award ceremonies, and their mission is to promote the people as well, artists as well. So I get names from there as well. But there are many ways of doing it, and I never have really any issue finding people. The bigger issue is choosing who to play because I only have an hour, right? Which is a good problem. But I never have a shortage of who I'm gonna focus on.
It's an abundance.
It is, and it's a great. Again, I can't express to you enough how much talent there is coming from that part of Canada. So.
It's really interesting to hear about. Do you have because we were talking about earlier the plant and how we sometimes have, we had issues with the DSU and sometimes we have issues with the school because sometimes the projects do not align and stuff like that. Did you at any point with CJLO 1690, did you at any point have issues with the school or any organization that you're working with and it has been hard to move forwards with your projects? Did it happen?
I wouldn't say so. Not within the school. They've been very supportive. Like the DSU, it's the same concept. We operate off of a levy fee, though we are an autonomous corporation that's not for profit. So it's the same, and they give us all the autonomy we want. And I guess it's kind of a little dance that we play. We have good people in place to be able to act as the intermediary between the people who are on the ground and the people who are running Concordia. So we have good people there to be able to have a harmonious relationship. So I'm sure over the course of the 25, 26 years the station has been around, there have been ruffles here and there. There have been instances, but nothing seismic, nothing that would really. For the most part, CJLO is an appreciated entity within Concordia.
Yeah, it's like everyone benefits from it.
We think so.
Yeah, I think so. Just the fact that it's there, even if you don't necessarily listen to it, I think it's always nice to have that option on a campus,
And you have to understand too that it's not only a student radio station, it's a campus and community radio station. So we have members of the community who come in who aren't necessarily Concordia students and have had shows for a long time. And the station is immersed within the NDG community particularly and hosts shows like What's Up NDG, what talks to community organizations in NDG about what's happening there. So it's really kind of ingrained in the community now. The school understands that and they appreciate that. So it's kind of a valued aspect of the station. It's not just, yes, it is an outlet for students, but it's also an important voice for the school and an important PR way of doing things, in the community for Concordia.
Oh,
yeah. I think Jordan would not like to hear all this talk about fee levies. He does not want an extra one. He's our VP Finance. Oh. But what I want to know is how is it working in the CJLO team? How do you guys interact all together often, or is it more like you come in to do your 1 hour bit and then you kind of go?
That's a great question. It depends on what time your show is on. So, for example, I used to have an afternoon show when I first started, so I would constantly run into people in the hallway, and certainly the people who are running the station, I would talk to them all the time. Now it happens to be on Sunday evenings. I open the door, let myself in, lock the door up when I'm done, and I leave, so I don't see people, but we do interact with each other online. So, we do have our group. We have a group chat, a massive group chat that we're all part of, and we still communicate with each other. Just it depends on where you happen to be at what time of day, because the people who run the station they work regular office hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But would you say who are your favorite other radio shows
on CJLO?
Yeah.
Oh my! I gotta be diplomatic.
You're gonna name them all. You have 30 seconds.
I have to be careful about this. You know what? I just want to say that CJLO is doing. I've never seen it do so well ever. Right now we have over 100 shows on a weekly basis. Over 100. We can't even keep track of how many people. And people are applying, and they have to be turned away because there's just not enough
That's
airspace.
A nice problem.
It's a wonderful problem. It wasn't always like that. So there are a lot of shows on. So it's hard to pick and choose. What would be the best. There are some standouts for me. There are some that have been there for 25 years. As long as the station has been around, that stand out for me. One person who stands out for me, I'll plug, is Gigi Brown, who has a show on Sunday mornings. She's 17 years old. She's been on the air for about 7 years now. She's been, and she's incredible. So really a wonderful, one of their best DJs, to be honest with you, a real prodigy. And her dad actually has had a long time show on Friday evenings called the Go-Go Radio Magic Show, where it focuses on alternative music and local music, and he's been on there since the beginning of the stations, since the two stations merged in '98. So I mean, those are two right there. Otherwise, I'm hard pressed to really single anybody out, because everybody has their thing, and everybody does great work in their own ways. So
Go-Go Radio Magic Show.
Yeah,
that sounds very catchy.
Yeah, that's a great name. Yeah. I know, and a really like a quality product too.
But what do you think made CJLO get more popular recently? Like I kind of like singled that out, the fact that it's becoming more popular and more people want to participate. Why do you think that is?
It's a great question. You have to wonder, because it's community, it's radio, right? We're in 2026. I mean, we're kind of, it feels like we're moving away from it, but really it's attracting people, and a lot of Gen Zers are attracted to it particularly, and I think it's this opportunity to make connection at a time where we're overrun with AI and what do you call that?
ChatGPT.
Yeah, that too. No, with algorithms rather, right?
Oh yeah.
So playlists, things like that. Well, this offers an opportunity to have real meaningful connection with people on air. Now there's something. Now I don't know. I'm assuming you all listen to playlists and whatnot. Now they even have DJs. So on
the AI DJs.
The AI DJs, right?
Yes.
And
it's Spotify, right?
Yeah, and you can kind of, your ear is attuned to it, right? So there's an inflection that people have that robots can't recreate, and I think that is part of the reason that it attracts listeners. I think the reason it attracts people volunteering, though, is not so much about the medium, but it's about the community of the station.
Yeah, because there's so many shows and so many people involved in it.
Yeah, and that's actually my favorite part of being involved with CJLO. Sure, I mean, it's great to be on air, but it's the people, it's the community, it's a place for, it's extremely inclusive, and it's a place for people who kind of would otherwise fall through the cracks, who could go and not only be accepted but have a voice. Right, so they're able to go on air and have a voice and express themselves and what they love. They can be freaky, and they can just do what they want. And I mean, and that's critical. I mean, we need to have that somewhere, whether it's on radio, on TV. We need to have it. So I think that's why people are attracted to it, and I think that again, that ability to be able to talk to people in a way and listen to people on the air in a way that speaks to you, I think is refreshing as well, even if it isn't necessarily polished, or professional like AI would kind of do it. There's something there that people crave at an intuitive level. I think that's why people are drawn to it. So it's been incredible, and it's not something that I would say the station anticipated. I mean, given that radio is a 20th century technology, it's not. Of course, we're online, right? But it's not something that I feel the station thought would explode like it has, and it really has. The station is doing very well, has lots of new projects, is growing. The space is getting larger.
Yeah, I looked at your website. It was just confusing to know who to send an email to.
Yeah, and we're working on improving the website, which is absolutely.
Yeah, but there's a lot happening there.
Yeah, there is a lot happening, so which is great, and it is an AM band. The AM is kind of, most people listen to it online. It is good to have an antenna in the city. It doesn't spread very far. We have applied to have an FM license. That would be a dream to have one.
Could you elaborate on what's the difference? Because I've always seen it on cars where it's AM, FM, but I've never really understood.
Yeah, I thought it was AM, PM. No, I'm sorry.
Well, there's two radio bands traditionally. AM was the original radio band, and FM was the one that succeeded it, though they've always kept AM. I can't tell you what AM and FM mean, unfortunately. I'm not that I'm not that technologically savvy, but FM always has had the clear reception and has had higher listenership, so that's kind of why it has the more of a it has more appeal, so that's kind of why we would like to. It's kind of like the way, it's a cultural thing, right? AM, you kind of have if you're on the AM dial, you're there because you're either in a rural area or you're really doing something that's off the grid and kind of like it that way, or or you're stranded somehow, right? Because that's kind of AM is kind of reliable that way. You can kind of catch an AM band virtually anywhere, whereas FM you're a little bit more limited. But FM has a clearer sound, more powerful sound, and that's where the major stations flock to. You know, like the ones I won't name, but the ones that are the top 40 stations, right? They'll be on the FM dial. So, but it would be nice to have one in the local market, just because you could reach more listeners through the FM, because the antennas tend to be stronger. Mm-hmm. Now, I know somebody at CJLO is probably listening to this, or is going, "No, you're all wrong. That's not it at all." But that's my take on it.
You got some Puritans who want to keep it in the AM.
You know what? That's maybe.
Oh.
Honestly, like there probably a few.
I think we got a scoop.
I don't know. I mean, I have to assume that there must be a few people who are purists and who think, you know what? No, this station needs to remain on it. It's not only is it traditional, it's part of what makes us, right? Being on the AM dial. So.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes when you're not too big, it's like there's less pressure from outside to have certain point of views and things like that. Yeah, exactly. It's like you listen to it, it's like special because not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah, the only issue with this particular station ID, the 6090, is that it is limiting us with the amount of listenership we can have through the traditional radio. The antenna is quite small, unfortunately. So like I live outside of Montreal, and I can't catch it unless I tune in online. So I think people in Eastern Montreal have issues with it as well, but nevertheless, it's good to have the call number anyway. It makes it kind of official, and it doesn't we don't feel like we're efficient, like we're a small fish in a large pond just because we have the AM band attached to us. We are CJLO first and foremost, right? Whether we're on the radio, whether we're online, whether we're on camera, we're CJLO. It's a brand.
That's really interesting. I had a question, because I hear you talk a lot about like how it works and everything, but we haven't heard a lot about like what happens in the background, because like we heard you have your 1 hour show weekly during the weekend, Saturday, Sunday?
I have it on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, so like what happens?
Listen in, everyone. I'm expecting all of you to go and look at it.
Yes, you should. But my question is like, what's the preparation for that? Like, how long does it take? What kind of script writing do you do? Do you have any script, or you just go with the flow? Do you have a list?
Well, let me first start by saying that everyone has their own process, right? So some people like to have a really loose framework of what they're going to do. They come in and they just talk the hour away, and they play a few songs, and they're happy with that. Other people, they'll organize some bullet points with some items that they want to discuss that they'll refer to. We do have some screens up. So we have our microphone, we have the board. It's a traditional board with the different dials. And then we have a screen up so you can draw up your Word file or your, whatever you need to. Personally, I script my show out because that's the process that works for me. Yeah. I like it that way. I've tried it other ways, but that works for me. And I know that I can always deviate from the script if I want to, and then talk about other things. But at least I know it's there. And it's
just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case, but it's also part of the process too, because it's something that's important is developing your voice, and I don't mean like your audible voice. I mean like your artistic voice, your inner voice, like your the way you communicate with other people, and writing is part of that. So I mean, I don't write it like I would write an essay. I write it out like the way I would speak it. Right? So I would write out, I know I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to write out word for word in the way that I would say it on air, so that when it comes to showtime, I have everything prepared, and all I have to do is read what's there. Because the thing is that, I'll admit I'm a bit older, and
it's okay.
Yeah, but so what happens is that, and there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to working a show at the station. For example, if you're at a station, say, for Bell Media, and you'll have a producer, and they'll be doing all of the work for you, and all you have to do really is talk, and then point towards them, but this you're on your own. So you're working the board, you're interviewing somebody, you're playing the music, you're looking at the clock. It's almost like playing drums, right? You've got multiple parts happening here, which is great. It's a skill, but this eases it for me. So if I know that the preparation has been done, I can focus more on the bells and whistles, the immediate when I'm there. So, but again, everyone does it differently. Some people, they love working without a net, and they'll just go in and they're wonderful at improv. And what are we going to talk about today? I have a few songs I'm gonna play. I'm gonna talk about my week, and that's great, by the way, But it's just for me. And the other thing too is because of the nature of my show, which is to promote artists from out east. I like to be able to. To be able to get my information correct, so I'm fact checking. I'm looking at all the information, making sure that the dates are right. I want to get all that, make sure all that by the time I go to air is not mixed up in any way. So I have it all written down, right? Because I'm doing it for them.
Yeah. That's really nice.
But again, that everyone does it differently.
It makes me very grateful to have a whole team in the back to do all this for me. Make sure the sound is good. Prep a script for me. All I have to do is come in and talk.
And talk, yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's relaxing. All I got to do is focus on keeping the mic to your mouth.
Yeah, you were playing drums. I think the sound person did not like the drum.
Yeah, it's a skill that you don't otherwise have. I mean, yeah, there are variations of it when you are in professional radio as well, but it's a nice thing to work on and to pick up. It's a nice skill set to develop, right?
Yeah, and because I've never seen any videos of how a radio works. So do you have a mic and you just do your things and you don't have to worry about the mic because it's fixed there and you're not moving?
I mean, you can sit at a chair, you can stand if you want, because the mic is on a swivel, so you can move it up and down. It's up to you. But generally, we have our equipment to be able to play music, whether they're records or CDs, or we have our two screens in front of us so that we can draw up playlists. We can go online and get information if we want.
While you're speaking?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's a skill.
Yeah, and then of course you have the board. So you have the board. Okay, cut to commercial. You got to press this button. You got to play with the volume buttons to make sure that some songs are louder than others. You want to make sure everything is about the same. If you have somebody who's being interviewed, then you're going to want to cut over to those mics over there, and then cut off. Somebody calls, then you got to be able to work the phone and be able to take care of the call. Make sure that commercial's coming up. Got to take care of that. That's coming up because and then we got to. I got to keep an eye on the time. I want to play another song, but I also want to make sure that they're comfortable, and I want to promote X, Y, and Z. So there's a lot to have to consider. There's a lot going on. It's honestly after that, and again personally, after that hour is done, I'm it takes a lot out.
You're ready to sleep.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort, but I mean it's definitely worth it, right? But and again, that's me. So other people might look at it differently.
I have more of a little philosophical question for you. Mm-hmm. So I think with all of your mixtapes, I think some of it is really creation of content, trying to make curate something for listeners, right? Do you think the definition of that has kind of changed with social media and just in general with the internet?
You mean curating? You mean,
what? And creation in general, I think, I don't know, how would you define what you do? In broader, more artistic terms.
That's
well. I have a business card that says tastemaker on it.
Tastemaker. Ooh,
that's
I
kind of what I do. No, it's again, it comes down to intuition. I mean, we all do this, right? We all, I don't know, don't we all make playlists of songs that we think that if we don't like them, other people would?
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, before the internet, we would make mixtapes.
There was a bit of...
Yes, we would make mixtapes, right? And sometimes they were for you, sometimes for the people that you liked, and you gave them mixtapes, and there were different things that you thought would connect with them. So it's what you feel will connect with other people in some way. Whether depends on the message you want to send, but it's just you go towards the songs that you feel have something like a spark to them, and that's again that comes from you, right? And that's part of that voice that you can bring to the station, and that's why people are attracted to it. Again, I keep saying intuition, but that's what it is. It's your gut that tells you, what, I think people would really like this really strange band I'm into, and I think people would, they got to hear this. It's kind of that, and some people, we have musicologists at the station. We have people who are really, really specialized and deep into music, and this is what they do. They're compelled to share music, and I mean, what a wonderful gift that is, because music is so. It's a subjective, but I mean, it can transform people too. Music is, all encompassing. So yeah, it's I don't think that that's changed, whether with the technology. I think that purposefully connecting different songs in a way that works to you invariably connects to other people too, in a way.
I think also something that people can struggle with is dialogue. I think that's something that hopefully you've been able to master. Obviously, you play a lot of music in your segments, but in those like sometimes 20 seconds where you need to talk, you're like, oh wow, I have to do it fast, I have to do it quick, I have to do it well, and it comes all mangled, right?
And it's not something that, when you hit shuffle on Spotify doesn't say, okay, the next one you're gonna hear, there's no preview. And I think maybe that's, well, maybe you could elaborate on that, but maybe that's why people like to listen to the radio, because they know the background. It's like, it's almost a conversation with a human who's behind the mic and just saying, hey, I hope you're having a nice moment.
But I think you're right. I think that's part of the appeal, actually. I think people want to hear people kind of struggle and stammer a little bit and be human, right? And I mean, to an extent. I think that it's important that, I think that when you hear people who sound like closer to what you sound like, I think that really brings you to a certain level. And again, it's a question of connection. So yeah, again, I like to be organized when I prepare my scripts and when I introduce music, but I stammer too. I have my moments where I stumble over my words, and I think that that's part of the experience. It's part of the learning process. But I mean, who are we kidding? We are human, right? This is going to happen, right? And again, and that's part of the people. See, what happens is your soul, right, it, for lack of a better term, expresses itself through your words and your language and your voice, right? And that's what people pick up. The stammering, they don't. It's a whole package, right? And people feel it, right, when they listen to you or when they see you on screen. It's not, so you can get the words wrong. Think about the people you watch on late night talk shows and whatever. It's not, some people have a hard time. It's not always perfect. When you're watching Saturday Night Live, sometimes, they make a mistake here and there. It's not always polished, but that's, that it's live, right? Mm-hmm. That's part of the appeal. That's why you tune in, right? Because we're all human, we're all trying our best. And I think seeing people shining because they're trying their best is part of the appeal for listeners, and why people, are doing it on air too, They're trying to get better, but who are we kidding? You're never going to be perfect. Why should you be, right? You should just be the best version of yourself. And I think when people see that, then you become who you're meant to be, and people get that at an intuitive level, and that's what works. But that's my opinion.
I agree with that. I feel like, people sometimes they listen to, well, personally, when I listen to radio, I'm like, how do they do that? Because I hear a lot of things happening at the same time. I don't know how it works. They're having like a fluent conversation. I don't know how that happens. And yeah, sometimes they stumble, they make mistakes, but it's like the general experience is so pleasant and nice to hear. I feel like it doesn't matter. And maybe for the people who, listen to you weekly, it's like they listen to you, but they also kind of relate. It's like, oh, he stumbled, I can stumble too in a certain way. Maybe I'm thinking too far, but maybe.
I think I would have liked to hear that right before my first welcome day speech to the new students. That would have been really nice. I really like the perspective it offers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. For that connection thing, before you started your radio show, were there a few like other hosts that kind of inspired you and made you see that in possibly yourself?
Well, certainly just being around people trying their hardest to do it at the station was an inspiration in itself. I mean, seeing that, wow, they're doing it, they're putting themselves out there, and they're going back. I mean, just that in itself is an inspiration to me. And that's not just at the radio station. That's at all levels of, like what you're doing here, and all student activities that are in the arts. It's really, really difficult. I mean, professionally, sure, I have my heroes, right? But
could you name some of them, if I may ask? Inspiration.
Well, you know what? I'm a big CBC guy. I'll be honest with you. I grew up listening to the CBC. It's been following me around all my life. It's an important entity to me only because I've traveled a lot across Canada, and it's always something that you could depend on. Mm-hmm. So if you find yourself in Northern Ontario somewhere, you can find the CBC on the radio somewhere, and that somebody that you know who is somewhere else in the country is listening to the same thing you're listening to.
Yeah, it's connecting.
Yeah, it's that to me was important, and so I listened to a lot of that. So some of my hero broadcasters are people like a gentleman named Brent Banbury, who used to host a show in Montreal called Brave New Waves, which was then taken over by a lady who I think is still in Montreal named Patty Schmidt. But it was a late night alternative radio show locally in Montreal on the CBC. And he's still on air. He's doing a show on Saturday mornings called Day 6 now. And so he's been a big inspiration to me. A gentleman named Holger Peterson, who hosts Saturday Night Blues on CBC, is, and he's not traditionally a DJ, though he's been doing it for so long. I feel that he's one of the top. Strombo, I mean, he is George Strombolopoulos on the CBC is a big influence. So people like that, I find are important to me, or at least have informed kind of the way that I want to approach it. I'm not saying that I'm trying to emulate them, but they kind of inform the way that I like to approach the show that I do.
Yeah. I feel like you all mix the things that you hear and you see, and it's like it became, plus your personality, it became like what you wanted to make your show.
I think so, and I think we all do that. I think that when when we're listening to radio, we're all kind of in the back of our heads listening to people and going, okay, I would do things differently, or I would have said something a little bit different, or I would have approached this a little bit differently. Where
Yeah.
not only on radio but in classrooms.
I agree.
Yeah, in classrooms. We've been sitting in classrooms forever, and that's all you do is look at teachers and you just judge them, and you're just like, I would have done this differently. I would have done that, And so we do that with radio listening too. We do that with TV hosts. We do that all the time, right? And so you carry this stuff with you without necessarily knowing it until you're in that position, and then you can start drawing on that stuff, right? And I mean, I've watched you guys doing this, and it's excellent. And I'm sure that you've been drawing on stuff too, and people that you've been watching, and people that you've, not only is the experience something that you're bringing, but it's also, all the TV you've watched in your life, right? Then sure, it's has informed it in some way, though you may not be fully aware of it. I'm sure it's there somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
What advice would you give to someone who, for example, wants to get involved in things like the CJLO or other
or the plans?
Or anything that has to do with voicing something. Because I think sometimes it can feel scary to kind of get involved. I think me personally, I'm very lucky to not have had this struggle. I've done a bit of everything in my CJEP little course, but I think especially for some of our viewers who are on their way to university, it's like another reset after high school, and it's just like, where do we go from here,
Yeah, another great question. I think it's a tough one. I think there are two things I would tell somebody. One, and it goes back to the intuition part, is to really, really trust your gut, is to really be your own best friend, is to, you have to go through this journey on yourself, and regardless of what you do, it's going to be scary, and we're all scared. I think it's easy to forget that people start from scratch, and that we're all scared doing it. So, but it's important that you listen to what your body is telling you, what your intuition is telling you, and to trust it. The other thing I would tell people is to listen, is to really focus on listening, and really tune their ear if they want to get into media, rather. And that's I mean, it sounds like it's a given, but it's not. Again, I go back to what I was doing, manning the board, right? And then doing all these different things in the radio station. But you also have to listen to somebody else in the station, right? Yeah. Let's say you're doing an interview, and you have to be fully connected to what they're saying as well, right? Almost as if there's none of this is here, and the mics aren't in front of us, as if you're having a one-on-one conversation in a restaurant, right? That's kind of what and that's not just in an intimate setting, but that's in general. I think that I think it's important to be able to listen, and also to be able to keep your mind open and your soul open to possibility, and to not let your ego get in the way. So actually 3 things, not 2.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the advice I'd probably give. But certainly listen to your your instinct first and foremost, and trust it. Respect it, That's what I would say.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes people forget a lot that in order to succeed, you have to fail at one point. And I'm sure you must have encountered maybe that kind of thing, because it's like you learned, and then well, I don't know what happened in between learning and having your own show,
And
but like
being invited on the Glorious Vine podcast.
yes, obviously. But I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like we often forget that you need to fail at one point. Well, it's really useful.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but the only failing is not trying,
Mm,
right?
Yeah.
So if you try and it doesn't work, then you learn,
yeah.
and then you try again, and then and then you just keep doing it until slowly it improves. There's no other way, unfortunately. And the people at the top will tell you the same thing. Whether you're playing an instrument, whether you're throwing basketballs into a hoop, it's the same thing. You just got to keep doing it and trying and working, and respecting yourself and while you do it, and understanding that it's okay. It's okay. I mean, yes, it's scary, but it's okay, because we're all just trying.
I love the positive tones of like this episode. It's feeling very like inspiring to me.
Well,
And I hope.
I'm sorry. No, I hope it does inspire you. I hope.
Yeah, I hope everyone that's watching really does get like that impulse. Maybe even a need to apply for next semester. Who knows? Some spots might open up. But I want to thank you so much for coming here. I think everyone has a lot to like hear and learn from you. I was really, really like moved by what you had to say, and it was really great.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate being invited here, and really best of luck with this podcast. I think it's a wonderful initiative, and I really hope that this succeeds. So, and thank you for really working hard to put all of this together.
Thanks so much.
I'm really grateful for your time, and also just I also love the vibe. I felt like it was just like a casual conversation. It's like we were in the cafe, meeting strangers. Yeah, who does that? But it's like just sharing a cafe. Hey, what are you doing in life? And yeah, I think we should do that more often on the Vine. Not for
You
later.
inspired us.
Thank you.
We are inspired.
So, I mean, if you want, you can plug in. Like, do you have social media or somewhere where?
Sure, you can
reach
find
out?
me at on Instagram at Eastern Promises CJLO, Eastern Promises CJLO, and you can also find my show page at the CJLO website. That's CJLO.com. The show again is Eastern Promises, Sunday nights every other Sunday night rather at 8 p.m.
Thank you so much, everyone, and we hope to see you soon. In the few weeks, we have another episode coming. Always fun.
Yes,
always.
we're
nice.
really excited for that.
Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.